So tell me something, Sonali. What exactly is weaning and when does it start?
So, weaning, per se, the word has two meanings. One is I am starting the process of weaning, and the second is I have weaned off. So, when a baby is born, the first food that the baby gets is milk. Now, this milk is either mother's milk, which is breast milk, directly at the breast, or express breast milk. Or if the mother is unable to breastfeed, then it is formula milk. Under no circumstances should any animal milk or other products be given to the baby in the first 6 months of life. This is the recommendation by the WHO, UNICEF, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, and something which we all follow extremely diligently. When the baby transitions into needing other nutrition sources as well, that is what is known as the process of starting weaning. So weaning the baby from milk to other foods is what is known as weaning.
Okay. So you can say that that's the time where the baby now moves to the second stage where he is further getting exposed to the world by eating external food.
We can say the baby is growing up, and it's so super exciting, right? It's also something which I think mothers look forward to, because now the dependency of nutrition from the mother, the sole dependency, so to say, is moving to something which other family members can also contribute towards.
So, so what will be the first few things that the mom can introduce the baby to?
So, I think before we deep dive into the type of foods and etc., what is important to understand is when should we start this?
Yes.
Right? I think we'll kind of go step by step.
Correct.
So when we're looking at when to start solids, it really depends on the readiness of the baby. I know I said 6 months, said by the World Health Organization, such a dramatic and very finite statement. But I'm going to refine that a little bit for you and for the parents who are listening in, that this has to be in the middle of the first year.
Okay.
Right? So it need not be 180 days, 6 months, so to say. It is in the middle of the first year. Now, this depends on a lot of things. Reason one would be the weight of the baby. Every visit that a parent does to the pediatrician, the baby is weighed, measured, even the head circumference, etc. is taken. So now this weight is always rising, and they have a chart which has been prepared by the WHO. So the baby is rising very well on their chart. Then we are fine. The baby can continue on the milk feeds. But if this weight starts plateauing, or if this growth starts plateauing, then we kind of feel that, oh, maybe milk is not enough. So physiologically, the baby is showing a readiness to start other foods. Second is also the fact that the baby should be able to sit with support, but not lying down, right? So we don't want the baby to be lying down and we're shoving food in the baby's mouth. That's not the idea. So the baby should be ready to sit for certain durations, even if it's with support. The third thing that we look out for is the baby's interest, right? So is the baby looking at your food? Is the baby drooling? Is the baby opening the mouth every time you're eating, looking very interested and very keen? So that's a great sign too. And the last thing that I would put out there is, what does the mother want to do? Right? So if the baby is not ready, but the mother is done and she is ready, then I would weigh that in as well and then decide when and how to start the weaning journey.
So would you say that a mother needs to be really calm? Because we know moms are paranoid when it comes to food. Correct?
So let me just put it out there that parenting is a roller coaster. You don't know where the ups and downs are. Parenting needs a lot of patience. You really cannot do without that. Parenting is going to need a lot of practice. Nobody was born a parent.
Of course.
Parenting is going to need a lot of persistence. You cannot expect that it's going to happen like that. You're going to have to try multiple times. And at the bottom of the whole thing is, no parent is perfect. So
the thing is that I have come across
an annoyer to it as well. That's another piece.
So the reason this question came up, Sonali, was because we come across a lot of parents who are paranoid when it comes to food. Is this a very important phase for the mother to be more calmer? Because can there be mistakes that she can actually do, which can, either take the baby backward or,
Well, we are all going to make mistakes.
correct.
Fortunately or unfortunately, nothing is life-threatening over here, right? Unless you give your baby something which is poisonous or causes a choking hazard, and etc. So it's not life-threatening. But yeah, there is obviously a little bit of damage that could happen, and etc. So keeping that in mind, it's a great idea to kind of, consult with your doctor before you get started, or consult with a nutritionist who specializes in this space, rather than just follow advice from well-meaning family and friends who one person will come and say, give apple, the other person will come and say, give brinjal, and the third person might come and say, give rice. So we have 3 different viewpoints, which we don't want to happen.
Got it. So, so now we understand that the baby is, open and we can start external food. So what are the first few things that the mother can actually start on with?
Okay. So there are 2 food groups that I could focus on. I would divide them as fruits and vegetables. The reason we pick these as food groups is because these are the least allergens. They are natural, they are, plant-based, and chances of allergy reactions, whether it's constipation, diarrhea, vomiting, rashes, all those chances are really less. So either fruits or vegetables. Now, you have to pick one. You can't just start with, the whole group, right? So when I'm picking one, the distinction is that fruits are sweeter, and babies generally have a sweet tooth. I mean, they don't have teeth, but they have a very sweet palate. So they tend to take to fruits a lot easier. So if a parent is in a little bit of a rush, wants to get started, I have to join work, my baby is not gaining weight, whatever reasons, you want to go a little faster, then I would suggest you start with fruits. If you have time, then I would suggest you start with vegetables. Basically, what happens is the first phase of fruits will go faster. When you start vegetables, you will meet resistance when a baby will keep spitting the food out, which can make it more annoying, aggravating, and irritating, and frustrating, etc. for the parents. So depending on what your need is, pick between fruits or vegetables. Some of the very safe fruits to start with could be banana, avocado. You could look at stewed apples, stewed pears. Some of the safe vegetables could be sweet potato, carrots, bottle gourd, which is lauki in the Indian context. So these are some of the things that parents could experiment with.
So what would be the best way? Do they need to mash it and give it to the baby, or let the baby nibble on it?
So it depends on the method that you're choosing. Right? There is the traditional method, which is pureed foods. So for example, if I've decided that I'm going to start with carrots, so I could put the carrots, pressure cook them or steam them, and then maybe blend them, mash them, make it an absolute puree. This is very easy for the baby to eat because the baby has a very natural tongue thrust reflex. So what happens is when you put something on the baby's mouth, the baby tends to do this. So whatever you put is going out. At around 6 months, they're just learning to pull the food in. And they've never really taken anything solid. So they tend to gag. So, you put something in their mouth and they might give you that kind of a thing. And that scares you. Is the baby suffocating? Is the baby choking? But they're not. So that is a traditional method where you could do purees. The advantage to that is it's very parent-led. It's easier. It's quicker. So I would choose that when I'm looking at quicker weaning. Mother's going to go back to work. A nanny has to feed the baby. Or a baby's going to a play group or a daycare center. So then I would choose this. Now, if I have a baby-led weaning, which is my second method, that's a lot longer. It's a lot more difficult. In this, I place the baby in the high chair with a table, put the food in front of the baby. So it could be soft-boiled pieces of carrot. So it's soft-boiled to the point that if I press it, it's squishing. So then there's no choking hazard and it's smaller pieces. So I place it in front. You can expect that the baby is going to pick it up, and throw it down. That can happen. The baby could pick it up and smear it all over the face. The baby could pick it up and whatever, right? It goes everywhere but the mouth. But eventually, when it does get to the mouth, this becomes a lot easier for future feeding habits because the baby learns how to eat on his or her own. The baby learns how to understand their own hunger signs. And overall, the journey of introduction of solids becomes a lot smoother. So it's the parent's choice whether they want to do the traditional pureed method or the baby-led weaning. Irrespective, patience is going to be needed.
So today, what mothers are following as per what you've noticed?
So mothers do like the concept of baby-led weaning, but many times it can be frustrating. So we generally suggest to them to try a mixed method where, they're giving some foods the traditional method and then they do the second meal after maybe 15 days or a month, depending on the journey that we have planned for them. Do the baby-led portion at that point so that some food has started going, some relief has come for the mother, and the mother is able to transition herself also a lot easier.
Interesting. How would you know that the baby is liking a particular product, a taste and not liking other taste?
Well, babies are very expressive. We don't give them enough credit. So they are very expressive. They will, show that preference. If they are finishing off a bowl, then you know that they've liked something. If they're refusing to eat and they're literally spitting it out, then maybe they're not liking it. Now, having said that, it really, really needs to be a more persistent approach. So when I'm saying a persistent approach, I'm going to put it out there that tastes develop, right? It takes 21 trials for a taste to develop. And I want to put it out there for all the parents to kind of, think about it. If you like to have your tea with sugar and I give you a cup of tea without sugar, you're not going to like it. But trust me, try it for 21 days and then you will not like tea without sugar, right? So that's where the differentiation is. So you will outgrow your sugar habit if that's what happens. So keep that in perspective, right? So if your child doesn't like something, it doesn't mean that you don't try it. You try it. The other thing that also works is seeing a parent actually eat that food. It helps. I had a father who came to me once for his daughter's weaning plan, and he hates papaya. So when he came to me and I wrote papaya on his chart, on his daughter's chart, he was like, oh, but I don't like papaya. So I don't think my daughter will like papaya. And I was like, how can you say that? Right? It doesn't work that way. So I think that's a rule that all parents should follow. In front of your child, don't say, I don't like this food. You're just putting that seed of thought in their head that, oh, this food is not to be liked. So don't do that suggestion mode at all. Eat everything in front of the child. Inculcate those habits. I think that helps a lot.
So can we say that baby mirrors what the parents do?
Absolutely. All the time. A parent is the child's mirror. Whatever the parent is doing, the child is going to follow.
Okay.
And on the flip side, if your child is doing something, you best believe it is something that you're doing, which is what they're showing you. So if a child is throwing things around or refusing to eat a particular food or, wanting to watch some screen time while they're eating, it's all your habits which are being emulated on the child.
Oh, nice. But similarly, I was also reading somewhere that what a mother eats during pregnancy continues to stay with the child forever. And if you say one of the leading dietitians, she also propagates that. Okay, don't go by fads, but go by what your mother ate during you being born. What about that?
So there is a lot of data and research out there which says that tastes of the foods that the mother eats permeate through the placenta, enter into the amniotic fluid, and the baby is swallowing the amniotic fluid So the baby is actually tasting whatever the mother is eating. But there is nobody who's been able to extract amniotic fluid and tell me whether it tastes like chocolate or carrots or apple or banana, right? So I don't have a conclusive answer to this. I would like to say here, though, that if a mother is eating really super healthy for 9 months, and then for the breastfeeding journey, it has become a lifestyle habit for her. And if she continues that in front of the child, it automatically becomes a habit for the child. So if the child is eating vegetables and spinach and fruits and, millets and etc. at the age of 2, because it's the family lifestyle, that it is because of what the child has seen more than what the child may have tasted in the womb.
Oh, okay. And then in that case, can a mother continue breastfeeding as well as giving external food to the baby?
Of course, absolutely. So when we say the weaning journey has started, it just means that the milk feed is slowly being replaced by solid foods. The weaning journey depends on each child, so the WHO recommends 6 months of breast milk and then another 6 months of breast milk plus solids, and then says that in the second year, if the mother and child both wish to continue breastfeeding, they can continue. So as per them, up to 2 years, breastfeeding is recommended. So it is going to be a combination of breast milk or formula along with the solid foods.
Okay. So then how does the mother manage the schedule? So how do you, when you start out with weaning, how many times in a day can you give the baby the external food? How many times you breastfeed? Then gradually, how does that gradually grow?
So let's say, hypothetically, we're starting at 6 months.
Okay.
And the baby's weight gain is fine. Everything is on track. The mother is not in a big hurry. So she starts off with the first solid food, but she's excited. So she starts off with, say, mashed bananas, gives the mashed bananas for 3 to 5 days. That will help her to test for any allergic reactions. She shouldn't start off with multiple foods, so she won't know which food is causing what reaction. So 3 to 5 days, she gave banana. At the end of the 5th day, she could give maybe stewed apple. Maybe then after another 3 to 5 days, mashed papaya. She continues this journey of introducing a new fruit for the first month, but it's only one meal, right? Now the baby is 7 months old and it's now time to introduce the second meal. So if the first month was one meal, the baby was having one solid meal, quantity dependent on the baby. The rest of the day, the baby is on either breast milk or formula milk. 7th month, we started off from the vegetables. So I follow the same pattern. So the fruits are now continuing because we've tried them all. So now I tried carrots for 3 to 5 days. I tried sweet potato for the next 3 to 5 days. So my 7th month went in introducing the second meal and so on and so forth. So this is very hypothetical. It's not something which can be followed just routinely. It has to be something which is dictated, guided by the pediatrician or a counselor who can give you a customized plan.
Okay. So what about things like sugar, salt, dal pani? What about things like these?
So there is a lot of confusion here, right? Yes. So I have already said that no animal milk. When we're talking about dal water, rice water, these are very liquid items. These are strained items in the sense that I have boiled the rice and strained it out. It's called kanji, very popularly in India. That is something which is very low calorie. Now, if I'm going to replace a low calorie food and removing a great high nutrient, right calorie food like breast milk or formula, then that's not something which is right for the baby's development. So the baby will find it easy because it's liquid. So transitioning for the baby becomes simple. However, it's not the right food for the baby. What the baby needs is the high nutrition. And the reason that calorie is required is because the baby is developing physically and mentally. So the brain cells need the right calorie count to grow optimally. So if you're looking to make the right brain cells for your baby, you do not reduce the calorie count. Salt and sugar both can have an impact on the kidneys, which are still developing, which are still immature. So we don't want to overload them. And therefore, we avoid giving excess salt and sugar. Sugar, in addition, gives that dopamine rush. It gives you that high and that slump. So we don't want the child to get that high where they're feeling very energetic, running all over the place, driving you nuts, and then getting that slump where they're like lethargic and limp and you wonder what's happening. And then they need that sugar to again perk them up. So that's kind of best avoided.
So when they shouldn't have sugar?
So, well, we all shouldn't have sugar, even when you're my age, but we are human beings, right? And we do like our little sinful pleasures. I would say parents should strike a balance. I don't want to deprive the child so much that when they start going to school and going to birthday parties, they're literally grabbing every piece of chocolate cake that is there because they don't get it at home.
Yes.
So there could be some rules in place which say that, that it's going to be a weekend treat, but it's given at home so that it's more controlled and more organized.
So can you say that till about a year and a half, we avoid sugar and then gradually include sugar?
Yes, so maybe for the first 2 years is a good number. But today, children are joining a play group at 18 months. So that's when, the birthday celebrations happen, the chocolates start coming to the school itself. So then that's where, a little bit of introduction might be required.
Okay. So Rani, it was really nice to know so many things about weaning, though it looks and, things like it's very small as a process in a child's life, but there is actually so much more to it. We're going to be continuing our series of questions with Sonali on weaning itself. So do stay tuned.
R for Rabbit, the amazing baby company.